Alright everyone, welcome back to another Friday Night Magic tournament at Lost Legion Games and Comics in beautiful downtown South Charleston, West Virginia. It's a blustery cold 30-degree day out there, but inside we are warm, we are content, and we are about to watch a whole slew of imaginary wizard fights. My name, as always, is Zachary Evans. Tonight I'm joined by a full house here in the broom closet with stream regular Jordan Petyo and also Eric Schmidt.
Hey guys.
No, I wasn't necessarily waiting on you. I was just had a brief. I went to like a senior moment, I believe is what they call it.
Okay.
So I am an old man.
I don't know if the kids use those terms anymore.
We haven't even finished one turn of round one, match one, and someone's already bumped my camera, so it is slightly askew. So congratulations to me. But so let's do, as we do see the rock paper scissors battle to start all of our future matches. Rock Lobster taking it down. Rock Lobster's been having a good run. I used to keep track of all of them, like every week.
What was the last count? Do you remember?
One of them was way ahead, but then I realized it was very tedious to keep track of all that, and so then I gave up on that. But let's talk some brief business here before we get off to the event. Of course, it is Friday Night Magic here. We play Standard most weeks. This is a Standard tournament. More importantly, 38 runners tonight. So. Good to see the shop full. We've been down a little bit the last few weeks. Of course, last week we did have the Grand Prix in Charlotte, which a good half dozen or so players went to. But everyone is here. Good to see some people who haven't been here in a few weeks come out. So that will mean a 5-round tournament followed by a cut to top 8. And we will broadcast as much of that as these gentlemen agree to play. So let's talk about round one. On the left, we've got Troy King, one of our out-of-town competitors, in from college on spring break, which is the earliest spring break known to man.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not really a spring break, he says. It's like a winter break or something.
Yeah, definitely not one to go to the beaches.
Yeah, spring is not February. But he's in this week, and he is playing a very interesting Bant mid-range deck. It's kind of like halfway in between control and not.
I've played it. I played it on game day, unless he's changed it or not. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's got Restoration Angels, control elements like Supreme Verdict, Thrag Tusk, Azorius Charm, but then he has interesting things like Call the Conclave in it as well, so it should be interesting to see. And of course, Joseph Diaz, you can tell by his turn 2 of Burning Tree Shaman or Emissary?
Emissary.
Burning Tree Emissary into Flinthoof Boar.
It's I think he's
Hyphen Jones?
Is he? Or is he extra?
No, he's Gruul. He's the Saito deck, as they call it. Straight Gruul beatdown. So he's come out pretty strong here, putting a Rancor and an Ash Zealot. And let's see if Troy has an Azorius Charm. He does play 4 of them.
That's good, right? On like turn 2 to have, or turn 3 to have.
Very few people have complained about this. He's of course going to Naya Charm, the
Naya Charm?
That's an old card that he could not have played there legally. Azorius Charm. Joseph smartly putting the Rancor on the creature that does have haste, so he doesn't actually lose double tempo. But he is going to take 5 down to 15. But if Supreme Verdict is still very good here.
Or I think he's going to Geist.
Oh yeah, he is playing Centaur Healer's main, which is very good as well. Because he's playing Blink effects with the Restoration Angels. I really like main deck Centaur Healers in this metagame. There's a lot of aggressive stuff. Rancor on one of your creatures, get in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, down to 11. So with the Ash Zealot, a burn spell on the land is lethal.
He didn't overextend by playing the Ash Zealot. He just played Rancor a creature, made it more of a threat.
Well, he also couldn't. He kind of had to spear the healer because he doesn't really have. I forgot he's playing Geist. Geist is the weird card in it because Geist is more.
He also plays enchantments. Like he plays like Special Flight. I'm not sure if he plays any others than that. I think
Hellrider is really good.
Yep.
So 3 from triggers, down to 8. And if he blocks the Hellrider, he's going to take the same 7 he took last time, right?
Or you don't block him.
If you don't block, you die. If you don't block the Hellrider, you also die.
Sometimes you just do that because you're cool and you're like, whatever, bro. My guys won't die. Now we can hear some comments from Joseph.
The Flinthoof Boar, it's 2/2 base. Does he get +1/+1?
Yes.
With
so
the mountain.
So the Stomping Ground was like... Also, apparently we have a viewer from Portugal, because he was like, how does that make us feel? I feel touched. I didn't know that was
here's a good bit of trivia for you guys. I always start the stream about 10 minutes before we actually are supposed to start, which is 6:30, which I don't think we've started at 6:30 since the Truman administration. But I've found that if you start the stream earlier, then you get a little bit better numbers because people have time to go in and get logged in and make themselves a snack, get a cold beverage, whatnot. And when I came in here before the tournament, there was already 55 people watching literally nothing on screen, just play mats. So
it's almost as good as competitive Magic, really.
And we are up to, well, at least when I'm playing, it's definitely as good. But we're up to a solid 85, and we have not even finished game 2. So off to good numbers tonight. If I can keep my screensaver from inadvertently popping up like I do every other week, maybe this will be the week that we get back to our possible record-setting numbers of over 200. But I was going to say that we actually have it is very nice to see viewers from Portugal. Yeah. We actually have a pretty consistent, is it Briosa Freak or is someone else? Because we have a very long-standing regular who watches from Portugal. But most of a surprising number of our viewers are from Europe, which is awesome because it is, depending on where you are in Europe, either 11 o'clock or 1 in the morning. And our Swedish contingent that watches every week, they watch until friggin' 5 in the morning. It's ridiculous. So we appreciate their dedication. They are some good, so you can continue to monitor the channel while I take this opportunity like I do every week to thank the fine folks here at Lost Legion Games and Comics in the aforementioned South Charleston, West Virginia. Most of you probably didn't know that was a state until I just told you, but it is in fact the home of this wonderful shop. They have four, what was it? Something funny?
Yeah.
Four locations under the Lost Legion banner here in South Charleston, Parkersburg, Princeton, and Beckley. They are all here in West Virginia, so if you're ever in this region, make sure to get in touch with us, swing by the store. Good prices, great people, lots of good times to be had. 6:30 p.m. Eastern, we do Friday Night Magic streams every single week. If you're watching us live, obviously you know that's at twitch.tv/ZachSalesMagic. But if you're watching on YouTube after the fact, make sure to check us out live sometime. And if you are watching live, make sure to click the follow button above and to the left of the video window. You'll receive an email notification anytime our stream goes live. So as I always say, my de facto slogan. Do you know what my de facto slogan is for the stream?
It is what it is.
Well, that's my catchphrase. That's another one, but I like to say, if you can't make your FNM, come watch ours.
Fair enough.
Because it's kind of a tricky business. The kids would call it a tricky pickle, I believe, because we're trying to broadcast a very specific and niche program to a audience that is primarily playing Magic themselves right now. I mean, so most of our East Coast viewers can't watch because they're playing at their own Magic tournament. And of course, I would rather them do that than watch our stream because that's better for everyone.
It's also rude if you're watching a stream while you're playing someone. Like, I wouldn't want to sit across from someone with their phone out watching a stream of another FNM.
Well, you want to know a secret is that I know of multiple locations where they have this stream on in the shop.
But are they like individually watching or are the shops watching it?
I think the shop. One guy says that the manager of his shop, like while he's running the tournament, watches our stream.
Okay,
and then a couple other guys, like in lieu of FNM, they just watch this and then play their own games. We are excellent background noise. So we got call out. So now's the point in the chat where everyone's calling out where they're from. We have a viewer from Slovakia.
I think I saw Holland and it's someone in Germany.
Nice. I know where all of those places are.
So see, they have the advantage of they can play FNM, and then after FNM they can go home and they can watch us play FNM.
Exactly, because the only thing better than playing FNM is watching some randoms in a place you didn't know exist play imaginary wizard fights while other degenerates sit in a glorified bloom closet talking about said wizard fights.
Well, I watched that vintage tournament you hosted. I didn't understand anything because I also don't understand the format of vintage, so I don't know the decks. But they're also speaking in a foreign language. So like, this is all crazy nonsense.
Of course, Jordan talking about a link I posted a couple weeks ago. I do have a series I like to post which I call Classic Magic, which is a highlight from throughout Magic's history. That one you're talking about, I think it was the third installment of that, which was from the Bazaar of Moxon, which is the de facto European Legacy and Vintage Championships they have every year. It's a giant tournament. We were watching it was a highlight from one of the games in Vintage where someone won literally on turn one by by preordaining, then playing out their entire hand and getting the Voltaic Key Time Vault combo. Do you know how that works?
I'm pretty
I
sure
tried to
if I
explain
vacate,
it a little bit.
It
Yeah.
untaps, and then this time will let you take an extra turn.
Time Vault lets you take an extra turn. It starts tapped, and you only untap it by skipping your turn, unless you have Voltaic Key, in which case you untap it. Which is the reason why Voltaic Key is restricted in Vintage. It's very hilarious. So enough nonsense about that. We'll go back to the action here, as the fellows have sideboarded out. Joseph with a turn 1 Unleashed Rakdos Cackler met by a turn 2 Farseek. Now, Troy being on the play here, obviously it's a world of difference.
Yeah.
Being able to get to Supreme Verdict on turn 3, being able to possibly stabilize with your own Thragtusk on turn 4.
Well, it is nuts watching the new Naya Blitz deck. How much?
And when you say Naya Blitz, you mean the deck that won the Grand Prix in Quebec last week? It's very aggressive.
I mean, watching... Well, he also kept a one-land hand in one of those matches, but watching him not on the play compared to the other player being on the play, like it was just a...
Yeah, the game he kept a one-land hand on the draw and didn't play a second land and then lost. Pretty good. Pretty good decision. But he did mulligan in that one, I think, to the 6. But yeah, it's very aggressive. Of course, we're talking about the Naya deck that basically is the same kind of shell that Joseph's playing, except it has... Lightning Maulers, it has Lightning Maulers as well, but like frontline medics. Yeah. He was playing Giant Growth, which a lot of people were amazed at, but if you've watched the stream over time, I have extolled the virtues of that card for many weeks. It was actually your old buddy Corey Buchanan who basically almost won 2 tournaments with it. Giant Growth on a double striker is still very good. And it's an effective counterspell as well against... 6 power for 1 mana. But the fact that you can just leave 1 green up and then it makes combat a nightmare, it makes targeted removal with damage a nightmare, as we see Mortars take out a Centaur Healer. But I mean, Troy is in pretty good spot here.
We're sitting at 19, there's 2 creatures on the board, he's got 4 mana, we're going to lay another land.
Yep. Maybe. I don't know how many Supreme...
I
don't know how many Supreme Verdicts he has in his deck. You want to see an Angel here, maybe?
Nice.
Angel, eat the Cackler, I guess. Is the Shaman 2/2 as well?
He's a 2/2, yes.
Which one do you eat? Does it matter? I guess I eat the Burning Tree because the Cackler can't block, obviously. But then also, if you put the Burning Tree back on top of its deck, it's a little bit not as good because it's not as good a Time Walk. A turn 4 Stromkirk Noble, not nearly as good as turn 1 Stromkirk Noble, but Joseph does add to the board here.
He's coming out.
He's had a rough night. I do really like the art on Stromkirk Noble. I think it's a very interesting, thematically. He can't be blocked by humans in the card. The guy's just strolling through town. He's like, I'm a vampire, you guys don't know it. So Troy obviously, well, no, he didn't obviously draw the Farseek because he was setting up for Angel last turn. I apologize for the glare. Last week it was sorted and I have the exact same settings and...
Maybe there's a glaring spotlight right over top.
Maybe.
Bad magic joke number 1 for the evening from Jordan Petio. But Troy does go get a Breeding Pool with that Farseek. Leaves 2 mana open.
I like that because
Azorius Charm could be really good here. I can hear Jordan out there say, or not Jordan, but Joseph out there saying that he believes Troy does have a Azorius Charm.
But that's the fun thing, though. Now that Charms are seeing playing literally everything, you just leave 2 mana open. People always think, oh, you got the Charm.
I want to tell you a story that has nothing to do with this game, and it is entirely just a selfish brag by myself. But I'm going to tell you anyway. On Wednesday, because Dr. Matt Elliott, who was here a few weeks ago, store personality, he accidentally left his standard deck here, as we do see the Azorius Charm take out the Rakdos Cackler. It's his American Flash deck. As we see Boros Reckoner, now is when you really want to untap into Verdict.
I don't know, if you
I'll save that. I'll save my story for later. You might have Charmed because you might. It's just tempo.
But you're getting all the creatures. I'm just saying, it's getting all these creatures.
Well, here's another.
The Charm's still left in your hand.
But here's another thing. He may have just drawn the Verdict we need to consider, but then also he may not have planned to do that if the Reckoner hadn't made an appearance.
Has he held that?
Troy? He has 1 card in his hand.
If it's a Sphinx of Revelation, it's a good card to have. It's not a Sphinx of Revelation.
Well, he holds them close to the vest there, and I can't see. Another Farseek. These Farseeks aren't going to get the job done.
I mean, Mono Farseek is a deck. It leads into a Boundless Realms, and it's pretty effective.
I think Dave Brown might be playing that deck here tonight. I think he is. I think the deck that he's currently playing in Standard is some kind of contrived Laboratory Maniac combo involving Boundless Realms.
I mean, it's...
So Troy down to 1 card in hand at 14, facing down 4 power of attackers. We know Joseph Deal has a Rakdos Cackler in his hand.
Oh wait, Blood Rush.
Does this deck plays the Gore Clan Rampager, correct?
The best Blood Rush card that ever was, right?
It's like the only one that's really playable. Stomping Ground tapped. No additional business from Joseph, so just 1 card in hand. Possibly another land.
Don't like the land. If it is a land. But it's very tough.
Because everything in his deck is castable now.
Yeah. It's also thinning.
The way he pushed that Gavany Township, it looked like he was like animated Gavany Township. Here's what I don't do. I do not take the Ash Zealot, and here's why. I don't think there's any way that Joseph can get rid of the D-Sphere, but if he can, it'll haste, yeah. So I think I would take the Cackler there. But ultimately, it'll probably play out as an inconsequential detail.
And then here's where he plays Hellrider, and it's like, whatever.
Hellrider is a jerk. Well, here we see Angel. So that's a great play from... So it takes 2 from triggers, 2 from the Cackler, down to 6. But Joseph, with just 1 card in hand, can't finish off the Angel.
No, why would you lay it?
Well, because he's playing Sphinx's Revelation, so he should play his land.
Is he actually playing?
Yes.
Okay.
Another Cackler, not nearly as good as the first.
That Angel's on leash now.
Well, the Angel is getting a Gavany Township token, which is slightly better counter than the other one. So the best card off the top of Troy's deck at this point is going to be very aggressive here.
I think he's going to verdict.
I don't verdict in this spot. So 17. I don't believe they adjusted they scored, or Joseph should be at 16 there.
I think Joseph can deal with this.
So I'm going to bring a Palisade Giant because I don't remember what it is. I just know that it takes all the damage, right?
Yes. It can still die, but if he starts gaffing, like that's just, what do you do?
2/7.
Okay, so...
So, but basically, it was like a 2-for-1.
But what it did there, it just saved him.
Mm-hmm. So Palisade Giant, 2/7. All damage that was dealt to the player is dealt to Palisade Giant. So Joseph attacks with 2 Grizzly Bears. He blocks 1, eats the other one, sets 4, and then Joseph finishes it off with Searing Spear. I do not attack there.
Yeah, I was actually about to say, I don't even attack when I have
But he's going to get, well, you have to, there's a point at which you have to start attacking because you're just giving, at 6 life, you're just giving Joseph time to draw burn off the top.
Yeah.
Because he's basically 2 top decks away from winning.
Well, I'd also say, though, if you,
Yeah. I mean, you have to attack here. It's a 2-turn clock. Attack for 5. No pump. No, he is pumping. So down to 5. So there's no card that Joseph can draw off the top, right?
Zealot, Hellrider.
Does he have... Burning 2 Shaman's not enough, so Palisade Giant is the... Well, it's not like Palisade Giant was the card that won Troy that game, but it certainly helped. It basically saved him 3 life and was a 1-for-1 on one of the Rakdos Cacklers. So very fun to see a sweet sideboard deck in Palisade Giant come in. I mean, it's fine. It's a 2/7 creature. Oh, the chat doesn't care for it. The chat wishes it had been a real card, which...
This is the same kind of talk that they did at the freaking Pro Tour when that guy was like, I got Odric in my sideboard, or 1 Odric in my main board, and everyone's like, you're not a deck!
Are you talking about the guy who won the Star City Games New Orleans with 1 Odric in his main deck?
I think so, because
yeah, he only won the tournament with it. And remember the guy who just won a 800-person Grand Prix with 3 Giant Growths in his deck that everyone talked crap on? I'm not saying that it compares to, like, the best cards in the format, but yeah. I don't know. I would much rather see something interesting like that pop off the screen than the same Angel, Thragtusk, whatever.
Well, it's like some people are just happy to just wait until a card sees like a lot of popular play, but sometimes you have to play it before it's popular. Like Faithmender was not seeing play for a long time because no one believed in it, and then eventually everyone's like, oh wait, a 1/5 is hard for a red deck to deal with or aggro deck.
Yeah, I mean, all joking aside, and people are more than entitled to their own opinions on card
No, they are
evaluation.
not. This is Magic. There are facts. Deal with them.
But it is interesting sometimes. Innovation like that is where these decks come from a lot of times. Like I remember in the you know. In the previous iteration of Standards, Cursive Echoes started showing up as a sideboard card.
Yes.
And people were like, well, take that out of my junk rare box or my commander deck or whatever, because it's like a perfect answer to counter Magic as well as Sphinx's Revelation. So, it's little things like that that help you get an edge against a defined metagame.
Yeah.
That being said, Palisade Giant does cost 6, in which case I would probably like an answer that's a little bit more on curve. But against this very specific deck, as one slot in your sideboard, like Joseph can't answer it. Like, the best case scenario is what happened, is he had 2 creatures that attacked and he could waste his burn spell.
Which is never bad.
But that card basically said 6 mana, gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, gain 7 life, destroy target creature.
And with Agavony, I like the fact that it's like, now you just really can't ever do, you could have 15 Searing Spears, nothing's gonna happen with them.
That's the way I always look at Planeswalkers, is if it dies immediately, is a card that said, like Liliana, says 3 black, gain 3 life, destroy target opponent, sacks a creature. Would you play that card? Probably. Which is basically Tribute to Hunger, which people are playing anyway.
I think New Gideon, though, says, pay 4 mana, kill target player, meaning yourself.
New Gideon says, 4 mana, waste $30. So, no turn 1 play out of the aggro deck, and we see a turn 2 Flinthoof Boar without a forest. It's with a mountain, I should say. He always has mountains, I'm an idiot. And then we do see Call of the Conclave.
Now, Troy's reasoning for this, I like, is that he said, it stops literally all aggro decks. A lot of stuff that just...
Yeah, so the reason he's playing this is because it's a Watch Wolf.
Yeah.
Because he can now favorably block the Ash Zealots. Yeah, he's going to take some damage. Well, no, he can't because of the first strike. You have to block the Boar.
See, I would block the Boar, yeah.
Well, if you block the Ash Zealot, you just lose your guy for no value. So... That is a good point. It is Watch Wolf saw a lot of play when it was Standard Legal. Of course, it was played in the aggro deck, not necessarily in the control deck. Playing for a Centaur Healer? No, D-Sphere. On the...
On the Rancor.
It seems interesting. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily bad, but it's just if he's going to untap into Supreme Verdict, I love it.
Yeah.
So Troy down to 12. Joseph adding a Boros Reckoner to the board.
This is that point, though.
He's smart. If he has a creature, he's smart to not play it.
You know what I miss, though? Do people not play Terminus anymore? Because I have not seen that card.
The control decks play it, but...
Okay.
So Troy does not have...
He might just have a Centaur Healer, and now he can block the Ash Zealot, which is,
Right.
That's a huge thing. Or block. One, you can't block.
You can't block the Boros Reckoner.
I gave it first strike again. That's so pro.
Joseph being that guy. And, so the green in this deck is just for Flinthoof Boar. That's brutal. Take 5. But Troy's life gain, I mean, he's buying himself time. If he can untap into Thragtusk, it's a pretty good spot to be in.
I'll be right back.
Sure. And here comes the aforementioned Thragtusk. Now, Thragtusk's not nearly as good against Boros Reckoner as it is against most other aggressive creatures, because you can't really trade with it.
Yeah, no.
He's just going to take the damage there. I like that. I mean, this way, if you do draw your Supreme Verdict next turn, you get value out of it.
Yeah, and taking 3 is a lot better than taking 5 to the face.
Mm-hmm.
And losing a creature, so...
Yeah, it does blank the Ash Zealot. So Joseph is very concerned here. The last turn he chose not to. I'm sure he had that last turn, chose not to play it. This turn he decides to play it because Troy showed that he didn't have the verdict. But like a good player, you're realizing that this is the point of the game where adding to the board is probably not lucrative. You're either going to win with the creatures you have when he doesn't have verdict, or if he has verdict, you need something to make sure that you can come back. So passes back here, and Troy with just a Thragtusk, 5 mana, a Rancor under that Detention Sphere. So So Supreme Verdict here is like the greatest thing that could ever happen, right?
Yeah. Clear the board, drop 3/3.
Mm-hmm.
Stops pretty much any haste creature.
What about another Thrag Tusk? Do you approve of this?
That's a thing.
I left him as one Thrag Tusk. How are there two?
He just untapped and cast another one. So Joseph just attacking with the Reckoner on his last turn, then played the Unleashed Cackler, which is probably the card he was debating the turn earlier. So equipping it to the Ash Zealot, which is important because now Troy can't profitably block either of them, as they both are have first strike. 4/2 on the Ash Zealot, first striking, and the Boros Reckoner, a 3/3.
I would double block the Boros Reckoner, just because if you have Blasphemous Act or something, that's a shenanigan.
Yeah, that might be, yeah, that would be really good, actually, double blocking the Reckoner, take the 4, get rid of the Reckoner for good.
Because then, I mean,
you only lose one of your Thrag Tusk. And of course, this deck, not being Naya, doesn't have access to Boros Charm, right?
Yeah.
So
the only other thing I can think of, though, is if he double blocks, he redirects and kills the other Thrag Tusk, but that's like a good thing in your book. You're like, that Thrag Tusk gave me 8
He just
life.
redirects the 10 to his face. He didn't activate the first strike, has he?
no.
So, I mean, you double block, and he just says, okay.
Oh no,
I'll
you
lose
can't.
my
Yeah, you can't double block because I'm completely ignoring the fact that it redirects damage.
Stupid.
I think you probably just take it. Actually, you could double block the
Zealot?
The Zealot. Might as well.
Yeah.
That's much better. Troy's better at Magic than us.
Stupid Rancor being a thing that does stuff. With his
So he's going to take 3.
I feel like that's the best way you deal with Reckoners.
I completely ignored the fact that the reason why people play in that card is because of the damage redirection, the Wispmare, or not the Wispmare, the Spite-Mare ability. Like, I'm just an idiot. Like, they shouldn't even let me in here. Like, it wouldn't be playable if it was just a 3/3 that you could give conditional first strike. So Joseph loading up here, or he's putting the, yeah, you put the Rancor on the Reckoner, I think.
The only thing that's funny, though, is like now some of those decks run Harvest Fire, so they can exile their entire graveyard and be like, shoot you for 10.
Yep, there is a copy of that in the field tonight.
The only thing it sucks against is an unsummon.
It sucks against a lot of things, like counter magic and everything else.
Exile my entire graveyard with Snapcasters in my deck.
Yeah, it's not very good against Dryad Militant, actually. Loxodon Smiter is pretty good. Another what's a 2? Farseek? Yeah. I don't know how many. I know Troy has Supreme Verdicts in his main deck. I don't know. I can only assume he's going to go up to some higher number of them in the sideboarded games, but I don't know exactly how many he has access to. Because against this Gruul deck, you just want to always be able to cast turn 3 Supreme Verdict if you can.
Well, I think he's in a situation too where he can block Boros Reckoner with like. Actually, what I would do is I would just block with like the Beast or the Loxodon Slider, and it's like, you want to give it first strike and kill my thing, that's okay. No damage goes to me. I've just fogged that 1 damage.
Yes.
Or I take 3 or whatever damage.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The play here is now to... Well, here comes the Hellrider, looks like.
No. Not like this.
Yep.
Well, he's still fine. Like, he's not going to die this turn. Like, Joseph's going to have to decide... He's going to end up suiciding most of his board. So he's going to take 4 down to 10. And then if Troy blocks correctly, he's going to kill the Hellrider. He's going to eat one of the little dudes. And he's going to take a total of either... One way or the other is going to take 3 damage from the Boros Reckoner.
Yeah.
Just attacking with the Reckoner is fine. Like, but, like, that's not going to really get you there. You know what I mean? Take 1 from a trigger. I like your play, Jordan, here.
When he's blocking it and forcing him to first strike it?
Yeah, if you block it with the Beast, then Joseph cannot give it first strike, and then Troy will take 5.
Yeah.
2 from trample, and then the 3 damage from the ability. Which puts him at 8, which puts him potentially in burnable range, especially when you can untap with 3 Hellrider triggers.
It hurts my head to think of these things.
And if he gives it first strike, fine, you just fogged.
Yeah.
Now this does make, if he does give it first strike, that makes his attack next turn better.
Still eats 2 from the trample.
From trample, yeah. But I mean,
worst
it's
things in life.
11, yeah, 11's a lot better than 8.
So Troy with 1 card in hand draws into
I think he's just gonna
6 mana for Healer and Geist. The Geist is the only card I've seen in, I mean, Troy's obviously playing his own deck, and there's some interesting card choices in it, but Geist is the only card I don't really understand.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, it's a perfectly good card. That's not the issue. It just doesn't seem very well placed in his deck.
Yeah.
At least game one. Sideboarded games, you sideboard into it because there's some decks that can't beat it. Joseph's deck, not one of them. And then Boros Reckoner here is really the only thing that's keeping Joseph in this game. Which is probably why it went up to $30. There's a 4 of in almost every deck. But there's no real... I mean, Troy just flooding the board with his own creatures.
I mean, the beauty of this, too, is, like, if Troy gets a sweeper, he just profits completely because he gets a Rakdos token, and then it's like, now I'm the beatdown, sort of.
One commenter in the chat is saying that he would have, in a sense, played a Pikachu with an emphasis on Charmander for defense. You know, I'm liking his style there. I think that's a good metagame call.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have some excellent matchups on the day with
A lot
that.
of people haven't really been playing around that. They sneak in for a lot of damage.
They haven't been playing around. A lot of people just acting like nobody has Charmanders in their deck, which is like a really crucial
I'm pretty
mistake.
sure Charmander deals 30 damage if you use a basic energy too, so...
Now, we've gone off the... I want to dial it back in a little bit when we start talking about the basic energy. So Joseph offering up the same attack as last turn, attacking with just the Boros Reckoner, with the Rancor on it. Troy taking one from the... giving it first strike, so...
Takes one.
Takes one.
Or two, I guess, because of...
Well, from the Hellrider trigger, but one combat damage.
Maybe let's hear another Hellrider.
Well, 2 Hellriders is always good, right? So if you're Troy here, if you do draw Verdict, you attack with everything, obviously. No, you don't attack with your Thragtusk, but you get in 4 with your Angel, then wipe the board and get left with a 3/3, right?
What is it?
If you draw Supreme Verdict here, you attack with just your Geist, get in 4, sweep the board, get your 3/3 back, and then pray the top of your deck is kind to you.
Like, top deck Sings of Revelation. Oh. Well, I mean, he already top deck. Did he top deck through Thragtusk, or did he just play them naturally?
Other people in the chat talking about Charmander fits better in a mid-range strategy as opposed to like straight control defense. So.
Whatever happened to Squirtle?
Well, it's round 1. We're only 13 minutes left to go in the round, but we've already seen our chat devolve into a discussion of Pokemon. So I'd like to think that's a personal record. I would like to thank everyone who is watching as we currently, as Troy currently considers his options here. This is a new record for round 1 viewership.
Is it?
184 souls are watching us play.
100 of which are talking about Pokemon. 84 of which are confused as to what the heck's going on right now.
But all 184 of them probably regretting their decision to come into us. So Troy drew I don't know what he drew here, but it is clearly a thinker. I'm trying to think what, and he just has the one card in hand because he played out both his cards last turn.
Yeah.
So clearly it's a live card. The question is, what is it exactly? I can't see it. The way exactly where he holds it, I cannot see what it is.
Uh-oh. Yeah. No. No. Should die for the dust.
Looks like it's a...
Well, no, actually it's fine because I say that assuming that Joseph knows that he should block the Thragtusk, but here Joseph can potentially make a mistake. If Joseph doesn't block the Thragtusk with his Hellrider...
So we're banking on Joseph being an idiot. Okay, I gotcha.
I mean, Joseph knows his deck, and Joseph says no...
What if this was like the best fake out ever, though? I have no Verdict. I just have a Centaur Healer.
You lose next turn. It's the worst bluff ever.
But it's what I like to call being a
5,
ball.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes.
maybe we're trying to get the Hellrider out of there and gonna drop a Sphinx's Rev to keep us just out of burn range.
Or potentially Palisade Giant.
Or yeah, we could see a Palisade Giant.
We saw it last...
Which, yeah. That saves you from the Hellrider trigger, and then
Well, so
probably
usually...
Boros Reckoner can first strike and
Right.
take it out. But then
Oh, so I mean, he is, like, Joseph potentially making a mistake here. Are we seeing... Oh, we're going to see a spear on the Thragtusk? Oh, this seems to be really bad to me.
Now his Restoration Angel's 10 times better. I'm just kidding.
if he has Restoration Angel, I hate this attack anyway, because now he's going to be forced to Restoration Angel like his healer or something. Oh, he's
Lifelink.
giving everything lifelink. So that's pretty good. So that's going to be 4, 5, 6.
It's 11.
11. Yeah, because the Centaur won't get in. So he's going to go up to
Does he have another card in
23.
hand?
He does not have another card in hand. I didn't see that. I was not...
I don't know if I like that.
I don't know how I feel about it, but it makes sense now that the way he was thinking it out. So he should gain 11. Joseph should take 9, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I like it because now he's open to a pretty brutal crackback.
Let's see. Hellrider lived, right?
Yes.
Looks like...
Or maybe he has Zuri trying to put his Centaur healer back? No, he wouldn't do that.
No.
No.
He gave himself lifelink. That's the only play that makes sense there.
But that leaves him open to 15 on the next turn if he taps down.
Yes.
Joseph taps down, so I don't know. It's an interesting play.
But the thing is that the way this works out, that if Joseph does go for the Alpha Strike,
It doesn't outright kill him. I mean, that's...
yeah. I really don't like that, actually. So take 4. Do we count it to 15?
It's 15 total with the 4 trigger.
I like Spikeman's plan for presidency. Homunculi need lifelink.
So down to
So,
8.
what's
and
better
adding
than
an-
one Boris Rechner?
Well,
Did you say 2?
I would have never played it because now if he untaps into Supreme Verdict, it's the worst thing that ever happened. So it has to be Verdict, right? Everything else is dead?
Yeah. Well, Sphinx is... No.
Well, it's verdict or it's the end of this match.
Let's see, that Alpha, though.
It's very odd.
Well, I would have even... You could hold back and wait till they attack, and then be like, eat. You know, Azorius Charm lifelink. Or when Boris Rechner attacks, be like Azorius Charm top of
Well,
your
he's
hand.
just looked at it. He hasn't slammed it down. And it was a land off the top, so... It turns out, as we're seeing the top of Troy's deck, I really don't like the Geists, but everything else pretty interesting. I think the reason he's playing Call of the Conclave seems perfectly reasonable.
In this meta, though, right now, it's really annoying to have to deal with, like, oh, I got a bunch of
There's a difference between a 3/3 and the rest of the aggressive creatures. So congratulations to Joseph Deal. He wins a close one, a relatively close one. That's not the way that his Gruul aggro deck usually wins games. But congratulations to him. He moves to 1-0 in this round 1 of 5 rounds of Standard that we have coming up. Just under 10 minutes left in the round, so I'm pretty sure we are not going to have time for a second feature match. Just seems unreasonable.
Nope.
But we do have plenty of time for the following, which is to remind everyone that on Saturday, March 30th, Lost Legion will be hosting a Star City Games Invitational Qualifier Cash Tournament. So if you are in the area, make sure you come down on that. That is a Saturday, obviously. Registration starts at 11. The event starts at noon. So
Now, is this legal tender?
that's 100% pure American currency that you could win there. $250 to the winner, as well as invitation to any of the 4 Star City Games Invitationals held in 2013, which is pretty cool. You can choose which one you want to go to.
I will sign it. Zach, you should sign that thing.
I don't know if
the
that's how
person's
it
a fan of
works.
Yeah.
I will sign something, maybe. Then of course,
sounds a
packs.
little
You made it that way. I didn't. Pack prizes, of course, to everyone else. Those are the minimums. Additional prizes based on attendance. A top 8 also receives Open Series points, so they can qualify as well if they earn enough. Exclusive playmats and a top 8 pin. Door prizes awarded at random, which is a nice little twist that they always do here at Lost
Are they Black
Legion.
Lotuses this year?
They are not. I think they are additional playmats, dice and dice bags, deck boxes, and things of that nature. But there's the information for the store, Lost Legion Games and Comics in South Charleston, West Virginia. A convenient 3 or so hours to the following locations: Roanoke, Blacksburg, Cincinnati, Lexington, Columbus, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Morgantown. Cleveland's a stretch. It's more like 4.5 hours there, but give or take.
You're a fan of the Drew Curry show, though.
LostLegionGames.com for more information. And if you can't watch, or if you can't come and visit in person, make sure you come and visit us live, or watch us live. We'll be streaming the action here on twitch.tv/ZachSellsMagic. We will switch back here to the studio cam. There it is. My name, of course, Zach. I'm joined by Eric and Jordan. We, of course, we immediately lost 20 people after we...
Put our faces on it?
Well, no, after we stopped showing Magic. But if you had told me that after we would have the typical round one, they stopped playing Magic, so I'm going to go watch another stream, and we still have 150 people, I would call you a liar. So I'm very excited about this. Of course, let's talk a little bit about Magic that has been going on the last few weeks. So last weekend, a pretty monumental week in Magic featuring not one but two North American Grand Prix, one in Quebec City, basically the follow-up to the Pro Tour that was in Montreal the week prior. Which was standard, had about 800 people, I think, which was won by the Naya Humans deck, basically just Naya Aggro with all the good humans, Mayor of Avonbrook, and Giant Growth to complement Searing Spears. But now let's talk about the other Grand Prix, which we actually had people from the store go and play in. I think Logan Cutlip, Nick Reed, were down there. Alec Myers missed his winning in for day 2, and Yin Sang, who you might remember from playing Jund in all formats, and also top 16ing Star City Games Columbus Standard Open, finished 124th.
That's not bad.
Which you might be saying, 124th, that's not that great, right? Didn't cash, whatever. Well, it's 124th out of 2,700 people, the largest Grand Prix in the history of Magic. I just want to talk a little bit about that. Did you guys watch any of the coverage or anything?
Yes.
I watched very little of it because I hate watching Limited. It's hard to get as invested in cards that are...
I love this limited environment, though, so I was very...
No, it's very fun. I enjoyed watching the top 8 draft cam. I really enjoy watching good players draft. You know, it's something that's very interesting. But it's just hard to watch limited coverage because inevitably you have to play with bad cards. In draft, you just have to play with them, and so you just don't get as invested with the decks because you don't know all of the cards, you haven't played with all of them, you don't have opinions about them necessarily. But the excellent coverage was run by Star City Games, so SCG Live did all the coverage. But what's interesting about it, I want to talk with you guys since you're familiar with the greater Magicscape, is there's a lot of discussion about why that event was so big, or more importantly, a lot of people taking credit for it as just there's several things that are coming up. First of all, people think that that's just the new baseline for Magic tournaments now. The new Grand Prix are going to be this 2,000 plus all the time. We're going to reach 3,000 at some point. And a lot of people are giving Star City a lot of credit for running it. It's not a coincidence that Star City had the largest tournament ever. And so I would just be curious to see as someone else who's... Yeah, okay, so Jordan, of course, mentioned the Gold Rush. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what was going on at the Grand Prix, this is the second time Star City has done the Gold Rush promotion, as they call it, which they basically, when you sign up for the event, you get an envelope.
Yeah.
Not unlike Willy Wonka. You're looking for a golden ticket. You get a sealed envelope. You also can earn envelopes by winning like side events, grinders, things like that. But basically, they take, I don't know what the original one was, I forget. But for this Gold Rush, they did 2 sets. They doubled it. 2 sets of, was it Alpha? It was Unlimited, Arabian Nights, Antiquities, 2 foil sets of Return to Ravnica, or no, not Return to Ravnica, original Ravnica block.
Yeah.
So you can get foil Shocklands, Bobs, all that kind of stuff. But basically, they jam. There are Power 9 and Libraries and Tabernacles in envelopes handed out randomly just for playing in the event. So, number one, you cannot discount that.
Yeah.
They were giving away tens of thousands of dollars worth of cards. So that is not, it may not affect your personal opinion of whether or not you would go to an event. For example, myself, I don't want to pay $40 to play sealed.
Yeah.
So, that's not going to be the linchpin. But I might go and play in a side event hoping to win an envelope. That might be a factor, so I don't think you can overlook that. Also, I think you need to look at, it was a week directly after the Pro Tour. It was on the same continent, so you had a lot of pro players who were international players coming to play it. It was sealed, and a lot of people are excited about the limited environment. You remember the sealed event that was after a Pro Tour Return to Ravnica in Philadelphia also ended up having 2,300 people. So the casual players love to come out for the sealed event. So I think that can't be overlooked. It's also in Charlotte, which is, you can drive from the Midwest, you can drive from the Northeast, you can drive from the South. I had friends, personally had friends that came from from Cleveland, from Indianapolis, and from South Florida.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen in Denver or St. Louis or some other places like that. And then but also I don't mean to discredit Star City at all because it's I just lost my train of thought because someone is your name the same as something about Google?
It's the CEO or the ex-CEO.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the ex-CEO.
That is, of course, you, right? I mean,
Yeah, of course, me.
You've moved, you've retired, now you're just back to
I
playing
retired.
Wizard
I
Fights.
came down, to the broom closet. That was my retirement
It's like a smart.
plan.
It's like basically a smart lateral career move, I think.
It really is.
CEO to like a third tier backup commentator for imaginary Wizard Fights in a supply closet.
Hey, I mean, you gotta do what you like.
You gotta do it. No one likes this. It's a joke. But like I said, I don't want to take away from Star City because they obviously run an excellent. On to round two?
On to round two.
Excellent. So a little bit earlier there, so that's always good. A lot of aggro decks in the field. But we'll talk a little bit more throughout the night because it is, first of all, the excellent part is that Magic is thriving. If you can get 2,700 people to come out to an event, like Magic is clearly still on the rise. But also, like Star City does excellent promotion. They've worked. I mean, they deserve every bit of credit. They've invested so much time and money into the Open Series, and it's so well established. And that's not a coincidence too. But a lot of factors I think coming in to having a great event. More importantly, we're having a great event here ourselves tonight, so we are into round two. I'm going to step outside, see if we can find another feature match for you. We'll be back shortly with round two of Friday Night Magic.